Well, as the world witnesses the devastation taking place in Israel, the government is pressing the world of sport to pay tribute to the victims of the violence. The spotlight has now fallen on Wembley Stadium ahead of the football friendly between England and Australia on Friday, with its arch previously becoming a visual symbol of solidarity for the FA and the nation. The Football Association has said that England and Australian players will wear black armbands and a period of silence will be observed, but have insisted the arch will not be lit in the blue and white of the Israeli flag. Joining me now is the sports broadcaster Johnny Gould. Johnny, is this a sensible decision for the FA, or have they completely misread the room here?
It's a clangor. All the language is wrong. And frankly, what they have done, and they don't realise it, is they have made it an inclement place for Jewish supporters who will be in the minority by a vast amount in going to the game, because they embolden the terrorists. They talk about an entity called Palestine. There isn't one. There is Gaza and there is Israel. And what I am a bit shocked at, and I hope that I can use this as an appeal to His Royal Highness, Prince William, who put out a very, very dignified statement on Twitter just 24 hours before with Princess Catherine, as president of the FA, to fulfil the words and promises of his tweet, of his X, or whatever you call it, in colouring the arch in blue and white, just as they did in blue and yellow for Ukraine, just as they did in red, white and blue for the Bataclan tragedy in Paris. They have set a precedent. This is about solidarity. And I frankly don't know what the Football Association have done and what their decision is. What's it based on? It's incoherent and it's inconsistent.
And as you say, if there wasn't precedent for this, you could maybe get your head around it and say, OK, they don't do this, they don't go there with this, they are neutral on everything, whatever the phrase anybody wants to use. But it has been used before on many occasions. And now the upshot, as you rightly said at the beginning, Johnny, is that this puts out a very different message. This compromises Jewish fans who will be there in the minority, and it's worth saying always in the minority, will be there at Wembley. And that sense of vulnerability will be compounded by this.
What are they going to do in the crowd when a few chant Free Palestine? It might be audible, it might not be. But there will be a mixture of supporters there from all four corners of this country. I'm not going to tell you what sort of fans might be pro-Palestinian and might be pro-Israel, but you can get your head around some of the different clubs and the supporters and their tradition and heritage, and it will cause flashpoints. And they haven't thought about that, and they need to. And if the establishment of this country, and I mean the Prime Minister and the Mayor of London and the royal family, who don't really comment on this stuff, it's unprecedented, make this decision, the FA could have fallen in without any problem at all, and they didn't.
Is there a chance or a possibility that they could change their mind on this, or have they? Is this unequivocal? The FA have said, no, it isn't happening?
They could, of course, change their mind and put it up blue and white. They could do that. They should do that. And if there is an appeal to His Royal Highness as president of the FA, I mean, he's probably able to pick up the phone to Mark Bullingham and say, you know what? And he's a fellow Villa fan as well. Not Mark, but me and me and the future king. That he makes a decision which is consistent with previous Wembley arch colourings.
Does sport bear a responsibility? We often hear of, sport being too politicised, whether it's Gary Lineker wanging on about something that has upset him this week, or whether it's something slightly more serious, and in this case, internationally so and serious. People often say, get sport out of it. It shouldn't have anything to do with this.
Do you know what, Ian? In an ideal world, like it was back in the 1990s when football was coming home and it was all about joining in with Baddiel and Skinner, and we were all one and we were all wearing bowler hats with the red and white stripes on the top. That was the football we loved. But about 4 years ago, during the pandemic, identity politics smashed into football, and it's never been the same again. And I must say, it's an existential threat to the game. And it reached a fever point, in my opinion, during the Women's World Cup final, when the chief exec kisses the captain on the lips. And That's what the debate was about. It became about an issue of sexism. Meanwhile, Spain's football team played the best female football I've ever seen. No one talks about that.
Indeed.
So there is an existential threat to the game from political correctness and wokery. Yeah, there is.
Yeah. And Villa are still going. There you go. I know. As a Chelsea fan, I don't want to hear this. Thank you, Johnny. Always good to see you.
Pleasure.
Johnny Gould with us here on talkTV.